Really a
Yeah,
pleasure to meet
yeah.
you. I've watched so many of your videos. It's I just sent you a message and I didn't think you'd respond. Like your last video was like 2 years ago, and I think I messaged you once on Instagram and you didn't respond, and I was like, I just shot my shot, and well, I'm here with you. And yeah, so I watched many of your videos and I really resonated with your ideologies. Um, Last year has been pretty rough for me in my life, I can say. And one thing that really helped me actually was, I don't know where I found this content from you. It was in the depths of SoundCloud. It was like a recorded audio, and you, I think it was like a podcast, and you were talking about like some sort of mastery about yourself and something like that. And you were talking about um, this really shifted my life. You were talking about how you need to stop being needy, and you need to stop saying like I need this, I need that, and to be like I'm whole and complete. And I was actually working as a how can I say, like, grass maintenance guy for a company, like a summer job. And I was affirming in the truck out loud, I'm whole and complete, I'm whole and complete. Because you were saying to do that as well. And you were like, what can I give you guys? Do you remember your this yeah, and so that's like one thing that I really remember coming from you. But apart from that, like the intermittent fasting, that kind of stuff, when I did like 22 hours fast and it shot my growth hormone, that was like one of the best moments of my life too. So just like I really appreciate your content, man, and I wanted to let you know, man. A quick question: are you working in the film industry, in the like movie industry? Because I I don't know what you're working into. I've heard that I know you were working. You got out of college and you were like top number one salesman for like a few months in a company. But then I've read somewhere that you were a street sweeper. I have no idea like what you've been up to or what you is really your profession. That's intriguing.
Before, I don't want to go on a rant, so go ahead and continue.
'Cause that's what I find kind of inspiring about you is that you're I really like the fact that you have your interest in like being a like successful in many endeavors, like health and fitness. You want to be at your maximum vitality. That's very inspiring. um just you're talking about business, creating wealth, not only in money, but just wealth can be many things, you know. Can be health, it can be spiritually, and I like that aspect about you, and that's why I looked up to you, because myself as well, I like to be that way, and to not only strive to be, for example, the best doctor. I'm not a doctor. It's just the example I use.
So, are you? It sounds like you're saying that part of the inspiration was the overall growth, the balance
As a person, yeah, as a man,
as a man,
yeah.
helping you to grow. You seem to be. You've just been inspired to grow, to become better and more well-rounded, not just in health, but in your mindset.
And becoming a better person, a stronger person, and improving yourself. You know, you when I look at your videos, it seemed to me that you were someone invincible and non-existent. It's what as if I was looking at Z's videos. I just sent you an email and I'm here speaking to you. This is very unreal. It's unexpected. It's cool.
It's cool for me too.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. You're humble. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So like I have a bunch of questions regarding like like intermittent. Do you still do intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting?
I do.
Always do coffee like every single day?
It's a habit that I do indulge in every day. Bulletproof coffee all day.
Yeah, it lasts the whole. You don't drink it like at once?
No, what I do is I'll get a thermos, like a thermos that will keep the coffee boiling hot, and then I'll shake it inside of that, and then just sip it. It's too hot to drink fast. And then just sip it throughout the day. That way I don't drink too much coffee. It's just one serving.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It popped up. My overwhelming went away. I was a bit overwhelmed at first, but it went away. I mean, I kind of have that question. I have the response to that question. My main language is French, by the way. That's why I'm like stuttering a bit. But I have a little question first. How did you come to be confident enough to start creating your content and not only being unique and like creating content, but also like being yourself and not having the fear of judgment? Because that's what I strive for. That's what I want to do. And I have kind of a fear of going into that direction, but it's something that I've always kind of wanted to do. Can you elaborate on that?
So it sounds like, your question is elaborate on how I overcame the fear of judgment and being able to.
If you had any,
okay, and then what enabled me or inspired me to put that content out there?
Exactly, the process that led you to like start creating content and not having fear of being judged, or like just you created content on what you enjoyed, right? What you were passionate about.
That's right. Okay, what happened was this. In literally, you ever get those phone calls, Sebastian, where you shouldn't answer it. It's just a spam call, but you answer it anyways.
Yeah, I do.
You get those. You're like, this is a spam call. I shouldn't answer it, but whatever. I got one of those calls, 2014. It was probably it should have been 2013. Rock bottom, maybe 2014. I was at a rock bottom, and I had a long relationship with this girl, 7-year relationship.
You're in a rock bottom in life?
Well, rock bottom in the way of a breakup. Okay, this is before, way back. Like, I was with the girl, everything was going great, and then all of a sudden she left me. And I'm thinking like, wow, I really screwed this up big time. And it was such a learning experience for me. And so I thought, wow, it was hindsight to think. Of course, it's like, I'm feeling sorry for myself at first. And that's but that's not the right mentality, feeling bad for yourself. So back to the story of how this happened, just to answer your question, that was, I got this call, and it was one of these things that I see. Do you ever have a voice? Do you know about the voice inside of you that you have? You heard
the voice inside of me? It depends which one.
The voice that's inside of you in your gut. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that it's actually. So here's the thing: is when we grow up when we're a little kid, if you remember back, you have what's called a conscience, and if you go to the grocery store and you take a pack of gum and you put it in your pocket, you walk out, your conscience gets a little bit dimmer. The voice is a little bit quieter, and you say, it's okay, I won't listen. And then it gets a little quieter. Then you go to the next time and you say, well, I'm going to get it back, a baseball card. And then you take money from your dad's wallet. You say, he won't even notice. And the little voice gets quieter. You don't really hear it again. You hear it, but you just ignore it. You squash it. Yeah. And then over time, people keep doing that, and they don't hear it at all. It stops speaking to them. However, in hindsight, those who respect that voice, which is the voice in the stomach, not the head, it's going to be from in here. It gets louder and louder, and you begin to feel it. It will tell you which way to go whenever you're in a bind or in a desperate situation, or you have to make a decision. It will tell you if you listen to it. This was one of those moments for me where I got that call again. Listen to that voice inside of here that told me to do it, and I took the call. All of a sudden I'm listening to this thing. It's a 2-minute thing, and I'm pressing 1, pressing 2, and I'm listening to the whole recording about what's going on. And it's this program that I ended up paying a ridiculous amount of money. Imagine getting a call like that and sending $3,500. That's just insane. What are you? I mean, this is crazy talk. But to go back to answering your question as to how I really got the courage and the confidence to do that, it wasn't just those 2 guys I mentioned. It was this initial phone call that led me to this information. I paid that money because it actually was a library of information, of educational material, information that I never would have ever begin to wrap my head around had it not shortcutted it from that phone call. And a guy called Felix Cadero, who I know watches my videos. He's the one who actually was the one on the other end of the line that directed me that information. And it really came down to Napoleon Hill. Okay, the Napoleon Hill, the law of success, which led back further from that. That was in there, and obsessing over Napoleon Hill's practices, and a number of others. The Master Key System.
I got to read that one.
Master. Oh, he got it. The Master Key System.
Yeah, I got to read that one.
It's not just, you don't read the Master Key System, so it's it's, don't feel bad if you haven't read it. It's not something you read. The Master Key System is an actual complete. It's so advanced, okay, that it will. I'll give you an story about what happened to the Master Key System. Something that I will do that happened to me. I wanted to get a specific car. All right, this Mercedes, I really wanted to get it. It was a classic car. It was like, man, you can't find these things anymore. They're just on the road. You find them, they're all banged up or stolen. I wanted this car for a long time. I saw it in an old movie from the 90s, and it was super cool back then. It was actually the same car that Princess Diana was killed in. Remember back in the old days in the 90s, the old cool Mercedes they used to drive? That's the one I wanted. Impossible to find. I was like, I want this car. I got a little picture of it, and I did the Master Key System at the time, and I was like, I'm going to get this car. And there's this process you go through, as to getting what you want. You're setting your goal and your intention on it. I did that, and it was a matter of like weeks when the car showed up.
It's the one you got arrested in?
Yep, that same car, because I couldn't get the car registered.
The police stopped you.
They stopped me because I didn't have registration on it, because I was driving it around with no tags, because it was so fun to drive. You press the gas on that car and it would just explode. I mean, it was irresistible to drive, but every time I wanted to get it registered, they told me it was not smoggable. It was not possible to smog this car. It was a problem. So ended up losing the car, but I got it really fast when I used the Master Key System. That's just an example of that. But back to the story it was that call, it was that educational call, and it was following the conscience inside, Sebastian, that really led me to the challenge of developing that type of confidence. It was that call.
Was it your intent to go in creating content on marketing only first?
It wasn't, not necessarily, no. That wasn't the intent. It wasn't until I learned and I became sold on the idea of the massive amount of people going on the internet. At that time, let's say 2014 starting, I realized, researching from Frank Calabro Jr. and Simon Stepsis and these others, that there was this massive shift towards online communications, and to where if you want to make a difference in the world and actually change people's lives, you had to start to build a presence online. And it was really, I was doing so much personal growth and development that it was like just coming out of me every day, where I could just there's so much material that I could just turn on the camera and go.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that want to start creating content, and when I looked at your videos, the way that you spoke to the camera, I was like, I want to do it with this type of energy. How do you like get to that point of confidence?
How do you get to that point of confidence? How do you get to that point of confidence? Presence.
Presence. Presence is key. Presence is definitely key.
Presence is how? When presence is there, confidence is natural. You ever watched the movie River Runs Through It?
Which one?
It's called A River Runs Through It.
No, I haven't. I actually haven't.
So it's from like 1992, one of Brad Pitt's first movies, and he's just coming up as a brand new actor, and he's this like not a lumberjack, a guy working in the woods with his family. Okay, I wouldn't say a lumberjack, a fisherman. He's a fisherman.
It's good that you're speaking about it. I'm gonna come later to something. Keep going.
I'll come back to you, but I just want to share the tie it in. So this movie is a great example of presence, of a guy in total in presence, where he's just not in any way in his head. He's like a little kid. Everything he's doing is just aware, in his senses, laughing, having fun. Yeah, he gets upset, he gets in a fight with his brother, but it's presence. He's never in his head thinking, oh, what's somebody going to think of me? He's just doing it. He's too busy taking action and doing it that there's no time for being in the head. One of the best inspirations I have on this is you take so much action that you just forget about. You're taking so much action that you just forget about what's in your head because you're just taking too much action.
You can't overthink. Action beats overthinking, right?
Action beats thinking.
That's amazing.
It is great for planning and prepping, but you never know. We never know how. We got to realize that when we want to do something, we can only just get a grasp of how. We don't know how exactly. There's no for sure. This is how you do it. It's action, and it's about adapting to the situation. Like being like water and moving through. It's like, oh, we got to go this way. Change up a little bit. But you know where you're going to go with it. That's how I would answer your question.
Wow, that's a really. When you were talking about presence from Brad Pitt, were you talking about the way he was acting in that movie, or like
when he was acting?
His character.
His character in the movie.
His performance or his character? That's my question.
What's the difference?
He could be like, the character could lack presence, but the performance should not lack presence, if you understand what I mean.
They both had presence.
Okay, then it's good. I should watch that movie because you know what? You know how I found you on YouTube? One of my idols is Brad Pitt, for sure. One of my passions is film as well. I love acting. I've been acting for a few years, and I'm trying to get into the business. And I really love Brad Pitt. I love. I mean, he's a nice actor. I like every guy. I want to look like him, you know. And your video popped up on my page, and it was like a story about you were talking about. Let me get the title of the video. It's, if you write Gavin Mehl Brad Pitt, you'll find it. Brad Pitt behind the scenes story. Yeah, that's the video.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Oh no, the thumbnail is like a Brad Pitt picture.
Wonder what that was about. What year was that?
It was 4 years ago.
Huh. I can't even remember what that one was about.
You were talking about a story. It wasn't like you didn't talk to Brad Pitt, I think, but I think you talked about someone else that like said that he was a nice guy or whatever, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Sort of story. I should rewatch that video actually.
I have to watch that too. Thank you, Sebastian. That's a good reminder.
It's very strange, but your videos, sometimes I rewatch them, and they like the human growth hormone. I just rewatched it like a couple of times to just remind me what the human body is capable of. And that's just a little example that it doesn't always happen, but I just resonated with your videos. I think because you also had like that Brad Pitt physique that not a lot of people have, and that was very impressive. That was like, whoa.
Thank you. And that actually is I would say the perfect example of culmination of the master key system or the law of success, or visualizing on something, because it wasn't always that way. Okay. It wasn't just like where like maybe he woke up and he's always been that way. There's been times in my life I've been really like that. I say even in college I was in pretty good shape, really good shape. But afterwards it changed, and it wasn't easy. I couldn't quite master that.
Grasp it, right?
Couldn't grasp it. No matter how hard I tried, how much I would starve myself. I mean, there was points where we'd have these boat parties going out in the river. And you want to just be in shape, it wasn't that I was cheating. I was not cheating. I was strict. No matter how strict I'd be, no matter how much I worked out, just forget it. There's no way I could get lean.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in the shape I wanted to. And that was one of the things that setting my mind to it made all the difference. Setting my mind to it, I'm going to do it. That's it, period. The I'm going to do it and that's it, period attitude. It's going to happen. And that's it. I'm going to do it and that's it, period. There's no question about it. And it happened. And I didn't know how. I figured it out though. I don't mean to keep repeating it, but I do. I'm going to do it, and that's it. Period. When you have that attitude, it doesn't really matter how anymore. And the way you think it's going to happen some other way. Okay, but it's going to happen.
It is the right attitude. I have a quick question. I know you struggled a bit, like regarding like. Because there's a difference, right, between like starving yourself. You can get shredded and starve yourself and feel like shit, but you can look good and feel good and still have that same physique. But it's two different worlds in like having full vitality and feeling good, instead of like being on so low calories that your muscle tissues, your hormones are out of whack. Have you like spinned your wheels apart from that for like trying to get to your desired goal, to that lean physique, that masculine physique that a lot of people are striving for? For example, when you get that attitude that, yeah, I'm going to get it no matter what between you not being where you want to be and that attitude, what was in between that kept you from being where you want to be?
Okay, I would say one. Well, that's a really good question. All right, so what was stopping you? Okay, definiteness of purpose, singleness of purpose is so huge. Where I set my mind on that purpose, and I singled in on it, and it was able to happen. Being all over the place before that, saying, well, I'm going to just do a little working out here and there, and I'll just I'll watch my calories, and I'll still get fit, but then I'm not really that serious about it. I'm not that definite. It took so long, it couldn't quite get it dialed in. But then as soon as I was like, I'm going to make that decision. That's it, period. It happened.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's about that making that
shift.
My mind. It's a shift in the mind of saying, I mean, there's an example. A good story is this. I mean, one of the guys I've learned from the most is Kevin Trudau. Okay, and
Kevin Trudau.
Kevin Trudau. He is he actually was an infomercial genius guru back in the 80s and 90s. He made more infomercials than anyone in history. He described the secret that Napoleon Hill discovered. Because if you remember back, if you read Think and Grow Rich, people have read The Law of Success. Napoleon Hill was prevented from telling the secret of what it really was in the book.
By Ford, right? By the guy from Ford.
Henry Ford was so powerful that he was his money was controlled, in charge of publishing and limiting and preventing the information. Like, get the information out there, but not too much, because he was in the competitive mindset. he was competing with other people, not thinking we all can make it. When
Yeah.
you know, that was Henry Ford's mindset. He wanted to try to have it by himself, and nobody else could get it but him. So it was a scarcity mindset. But with that mindset, it prevented the information from getting back there. But it wasn't until Kevin Trudau really discovered the secret library of Napoleon Hill in Chicago. He describes this on an audio, on some of his old audio tapes. And he says that he went to a, he was like living in Chicago, and next to his office, Alex wants to talk to me. Napoleon Hill Library, which is in Chicago, and he got access through one of the security guards in the building and went down to the basement, and he started listening to the recordings. These were the recordings that were never published on the internet, that still to this day, people don't, I haven't heard them, and they supposedly exist pursuant to Kevin Trudau, but they've never been released. These are the recordings that Napoleon Hill went in and testified into Congress. Remember, he was appointed by, he was, the 430th person Andrew Carnegie interviewed before Andrew Carnegie selected him to deliver the science of success principles to the world. So he was, Andrew Carnegie was the most powerful, richest man in the world at this time in 1900. So he came from nothing, but he got himself into that crowd. So here he is testifying in Congress about Carnegie and what had happened, and this recording exists pursuant to Kevin Trudau's story. Hearsay for me, but pursuant to him. And he said on that recording is where he delivered what Kevin Trudau would define as the secret. And it's more simple than you wanted to believe. It's more simple than anyone can imagine, he said, but it's as simple as what I said. I'm going to do it, and that's it, period. But it comes down to what he would describe it as is he would develop a white hot burning desire. The white hot burning desire, and then decide, you'd make a decision. Once the decision was made, and it's not a red hot, it's not like a coal, but a white hot. You know what, like a fire where the white of the flame, the hottest part, that type of fire is developed. Once that's ignited and the decision is made, it happens. And it's as hot, the hotter it is, and the more rapidly the decision makes, the faster it happens. And that is the secret. It's the mentality of I'm going to do it, and that's a period. That's why I would keep saying that I'm going to do it, and that's a period. Once that decision's made, there's no looking back. You get what happens. And it's not that's what Napoleon Hill discovered. That was the secret of the whole thing. And that's what's worked for me. That's what's worked for me. Once that decision is made.
You plan on creating content, on posting again on YouTube? Why have you stopped? I'm curious.
Okay. Do I plan on? Yes, I do. Reason I stopped was because I got pulled out in a different direction, and I got sued. Okay, and litigate legally. Not about YouTube or anything. Nothing about it I did online, and it totally pulled me into a direction where I felt like I didn't want to just go through and I actually started building content about what happened. Then I realized it's like, you know what? I don't want to get everyone wrapped up into this. It was probably not. I decided not to bring it up, And so I was like, I'm gonna just take a break, as opposed to just saying, oh, everyone should learn about this and do this. I was like, no, because I really didn't know what I was doing anyways. So I didn't understand it. So why should I try to explain it, something I don't know anything about, And so, but the good thing is, to answer your question about posting, yeah, absolutely. As I just wanted to take myself, as I went through that process, and it was long and drawn out. It taught me so much. I've learned an incredible amount now about talking about growth. It's been, talk about mastery. When you really to learn about yourself and freedom, it's been incredible for that, and learning and because I'm a freedom addict, man. I'm a freedom junkie, Sebastian. I don't know about you, but that's my passion is freedom. And,
for sure.
And I want to explore and have freedom in all areas of the life, and as much as possible, more and more freedom. And so when somebody tried to take that away, I was like, I'm going to take this as a challenge and really figure. It wasn't a criminal action, okay? It wasn't that, but civilly, when you get sued, it's like you want to do something about it,
For sure.
You want to fight. So yeah, so it happened before, but this time I really stood up and I fought hard.
It's good to see that you haven't lost your energy, your vitality at all.
Okay, is that how you feel it? I haven't.
Yeah, I do. I do. I feel like you're still putting that energy out there.
Well, that has to do with, back again, Napoleon Hill. There's a principle in there that he talks about that is super, super powerful. And I've nurtured it for about on and off for about 5, starting in around that same time, about 2015. So more than 5 years, gosh, 8 years on and off. Okay. That has to do with taking the energy as a man that you have, your creative energy, okay, inside of you. The most powerful creative energy you have is to reproduce, and not wasting it, but using it for strength. Now it is for a purpose of making a family. Yes, that is what it's for, and reproducing. But it's so easy to just waste, and just with all the and when, as opposed to just squandering it, okay, like he says in the book, by taking that and nurturing that creative energy towards, if you want to reproduce and make a family, that's your focus, then that's where it's going to go. Or if somebody's already done that, then taking that creative energy and making content with it, going after and creating something beautiful, because it actually, my understanding of this has actually come full circle, because there's a video that Jim Carrey, there's a few celebrities out there, Sebastian, that are not sold out. I believe Brad Pitt's one of them, hopefully.
Not sold out means okay, I get it.
Just totally sold out. They'll do anything for money.
Yeah,
they don't care.
They're free.
They're free, and they're free to do what they want to do. And one of them is Jim Carrey. Okay,
they do what they're like. They're not imprisoned by the bad mentality of this type of work.
That's right, exactly. Jim Carrey, who's a Canadian, by the way. Do you know where he grew up?
Not in Montreal.
Not in Montreal. Okay, so he said in one of his more recent interviews, it was with another guy from Saturday Night Live. He's on a video, and he actually described this. He really broke it down scientifically. I couldn't believe it. He wasn't joking. He says that by taking that creative energy, it actually there's a 30-day process that the body, it takes the energy from right up inside the brain here. It comes from way back in the head. It goes straight down to the body, through the back of the spine. It's more than complicated than what I thought. It's way deeper.
Jim Carrey talked about that?
Yeah.
I've listened to something talking about that last night, actually. I don't know if it's the same thing, but it's like harnessing your energy. Is it?
It's about that. And Jim Carrey was the one that
through the spine.
So through your pineal gland. It has to do with that. And he was the one that really broke it down. I learned about it before, but not like this. And it was a whole new inspiration of challenge for me. Because when he broke it down like this, and he says that it's going through your back of your brain, down through your spine, and then what happens is the energy will loop around full circle after like a 30-day period, to where then it reaches back into your pineal gland, and it gives you this charge, this creative charge. And I could speak of it like I would with human growth hormone, where there's like this fasting period where, if you only fast 10 hours, you never feel it. But if you fast like 20 hours, 22 hours, you feel it.
Yeah.
It's the same type of way.
Well, do you fast 20 hours every day?
I would say, yeah, most days. Not a lot of days. A lot of days.
You know what's something interesting that I found? Like, being active, it's much easier to fast these 20 hours and to activate that growth hormone. Have you I feel like it's kind of hard to like do the human growth hormone thing if you're like working on your computer at home. I don't know about you, but how do you feel? Can you get that growth hormone even if you're working on your computer at home or something?
That's a good point. I would say it's more noticeable when active.
Yeah, when you're walking, when the blood's flowing. You
Really,
feel
when the blood's flowing,
invincible.
when you're working out, you hit the work, you hit your peak performance when you really get the blood pumping.
Yeah. Do you
You know,
still do Kino Body 3 days a week?
for working out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing, in a way, I do, but my training has evolved. So
Yeah, you tweaked it for yourself, I guess.
I have, I'm doing some, that's a complicated question. Let me table that because I can
Yeah.
go really a long direction on it before I bring it up. Well, I'll tell you really quick. A buddy of mine in college, I went to school with, he was the SAE, I'm Delta Chi. We were best friends in college. He's freaking loved this guy to death, and I hadn't talked to him in about 10 years. All of a sudden I see him on the internet. He's this big famous, all of a sudden he's this big famous doctor on the internet. And I have 2 or 3 fraternity brothers hitting me up like, oh, we're doing this new workout. I'm like, John's workout? I was like, that's a joke. I thought it was a joke. I mean, I didn't really think it was serious because he's such a joker. That's how he's just such a funny guy. But he's a serious doctor now. Now he's a serious doctor. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I got so many people that recommended it to me, and I bought it. It was this. It's called X3. And so I was like, I got to get it and try it. And now I've been doing that for like probably about 4 months. It's been
X3?
Yeah, John Jaquish.
Can you find it online?
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it because he marketed it like everywhere all over the internet. I was getting spammed by it from every place. I stopped advertising me, man. So
Good.
yeah, it's good. It's more, actually it's extremely good. It's another level of understanding of training. And I'm not saying it's the only way. He would tell you it is the only way, but it's
really
incredibly efficient. It's about resistance training and peak performance. It's completely a different level of like going from like a Kino Body where you're training and reverse pyramid style. This is going into where you're hitting max all out in one set.
Okay, I see. Heavy duty.
One set, which is like, that's not enough, but this is just the way it's done. And it's been incredible. It's incredibly efficient. It's also, so it's more complicated than that. He wrote a book on it called Weightlifting is a Waste of Time, which I read, which helped inspire
It's
me
based on that.
based on that.
Okay, yeah, I've read of that. I don't know if you've heard of the bodybuilder Mike Mentzer.
No.
No, okay. He was an old school bodybuilder that trained like once a week, I think, with like only like doing like warm-ups, then like one set of squats to full intensity. And I'm pretty sure what you explained in X3, I'm pretty sure it's based on
So it sounds similar.
ideology. I'll check it out.
Similar.
I'm interested.
From what I've experienced, I can't give you a full conclusion on what's better. That's why I haven't been like, when I have that conclusion, I will be sure to tell everybody about it. So I love it because it's efficient. I love it because for me, I can't say no. And I'm too busy. No, it's very effective.
Okay, cool.
Is it actually better? I'm not sure yet. But one thing I will say is that when you're doing standing military press and dumbbell style, and there is something incredible about that. Standing up, there's the rush I get from that. However, there's also a point where sometimes it's too risky.
It is. I injured myself with standing barbell military press in the lower back.
Yes, I feel I know what you mean, and I did the same thing. And
you injured yourself as well?
I injured my I've injured my neck, I've injured my shoulder doing it, minor, thank God, but enough to where I had to stop and make me realize, like rethink it. Like, is this best for me? Like I love it. It probably is the best, but is the risk worth the injury? That's where I started getting to. Because of the heavy weight standing like that, it's the best exercise. No doubt. I love that exercise.
Yeah, it's primal.
But it is, but the intensity that puts right on your rotator cuffs. If your form's not perfect, if you go a little bit too heavy, right? You're just
Yeah. I need to try your form because you're going like halfway.
That's for me, like
Halfway, but like
number of trainers I've noticed on that though, with the standing press. What I've learned from on that is that down here on the standing press, I'm not developing the shoulders anymore. And I'm only just putting too much, I was putting way too much tension on my rotator. This is what caused me injury. Being at like this level right at the chin was able to give me the most amount of strength and the least amount of injury. That's where I ended up going with it.
I have a question. Have you ever done like a have you ever fell into the trap of super high volume, 7 days a week cardio?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I got nowhere with it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, same.
Did you?
Yeah, for sure.
It did.
I actually I was last year I started like weightlifting like 4 years ago and got pretty good results when I did things right, like recovered properly, focused on maintaining strength, keeping my calories in check, like eating properly, you know. I've got pretty lean. I've got like where I wanted, but it's actually pretty funny because when you try to get really lean, that's what when you let it flow naturally, it kind of there's a way to let it flow naturally and it's going to be easier. I did like Chris Bumstead is a bodybuilder, if you know who he is.
Chris Bumstead?
Yeah, he's the guy right now. He's like the Mr. Olympia or whatever that is.
And what was the first bodybuilder you mentioned? Mike who?
Mike Mentzer. He was very interesting actually. He was like known for training like super hard, full intensity, like doing one set of leg extensions, for example, for 2 weeks. So I did like a online like a prep challenge where it like the person who made the best transformation won like $5,000 or something, and I just like I got my calories so low and trained so hard that I burned muscle and just like crashed my hormones.
See?
It's crazy. I put more input, I work even harder, but I get worse results. Sometimes there's a paradox.
There is. And that's the funny thing. You can get the book for Weightlifting is a Waste of Time for free online.
Yeah.
For sure on Scribe. I think I got on
Scribd.
Scribd,
It
yeah.
is on Scribd.
Yeah, you can first sure get it on that. It's a quick read, and it will help you balance that, answer that question, what you just had about overtraining. And John does a really good job at it.
You should mention that. And if you make videos,
okay,
you should really talk about like what you came through, whatever your challenges were. Because maybe you talked about it, but I've never really
made videos in the past. I haven't at all recently. So that's the thing. I'm glad we're here to do this because I wanted to, I want to come back and find out what questions people have, what I should make content about, because I've been in this incredible journey right now, Sebastian, over the last few years that has just been beyond describable, where I'm not even really I have a whole nother persona online that people don't know about, okay, that is kind of hidden. And it's just, but it's about more about groups and that I teach in, all right, and other areas. And I don't want to blend. I'm trying not to blend everything here. That's ultimately where I'm at.
I see.
But it really is it's actually completely going deep into the aspect of freedom, okay, and getting free has to do with understanding how the system works, how to function in it, and how to function in their system and operate and literally, that's really what's happened with me with a lot of the last few years where I've gone so now as I feel like I've mastered that.
What are your top 5 recommendations of books, not only like marketing, but if you could give like one for like every sphere of your endeavor a man is trying to get successful at, like just what are your top 5 books? Actually.
Well, number one would be the Law of Success, the 1925 version.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a rare gem. Now, if people are not able to get that book, which is not easy. When I got it, it was I don't know if it's even accessible. They've destroyed that book online. As far as I know, it wasn't supposed to be published, and it's been completely. How I got it was, I don't remember how I got it, but I got it and I have it. I'd say that's the number one. Now, Think and Grow Rich would be the mainstream version of that, which is incredibly good. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, number one success book of all time. So I would encourage people to read that one even first, because it's easy to get it free. You can listen to it online. And then when you want to know more, you're like, wait a second, there's more to this, because he keeps talking about the secret in Think and Grow Rich. He talks about it like he's saying, he's trying to give you this clue. He's saying, guys, I can't explain this to you here in this book. I'm not allowed to, but it's here. Okay, that's what he keeps telling you. Every chapter he says that.
He's heard of that.
It's here in these words, but I can't tell you what it is. I'm not allowed to. Henry Ford's publishing everything, stripping me. That's why it's in the 1925 version of the Law of Success. I would say it's called the art of not giving an FUC. I don't want to
This
say
is the first book I've read in personal development. It's freeing, right? Yeah.
He's writing this story about how he found out about that guy on the internet, or he met some guy who was just an alcoholic or whatever, a loser. Most people would think he was a nobody, a loser. He'd get on and he would just get drunk all the time. And then he'd just start doing stuff and he just didn't care. And it comes down to the idea of he cared, but not that much. And that's the key about success. It's like, you got to care about it, but not that much. It's not the end of the world. It's like, there's the next big thing. There's something else. And so, yeah, care, but not that much. Not so much to where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be miserable if this doesn't happen.
If you're too needy, the universe is going to sense it and you're not going to get it.
You know, I do like consulting with people on things on different areas. Like this one dude that I have, he's actually a fitness guy, and you know, he's going through some things. And one of the needy thing, to answer your kind of like on that point, is he's going to negotiate with this. He's going to negotiate this deal, and I tell him, I said, listen, when you go in there, you know, you got to have the mentality that you're holding a full house or a straight flush, but you're not going to show him your hand. But that's what he has to believe you have.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's not what I have. I was like, well, listen, I'm not telling you to lie. Don't tell him that you have that. But you've got to carry yourself in that meeting as though you have that in your hand, and that you're going to use that and play that hand. Okay. And this is how some of the things you're going to say to him, that he's going to think into the situation and believe that you are holding full out, like a completely stacked hand. But you may not be. He was holding, like, you know, not really that good of a hand. I told him, I said, this is a bluff move. Do you know what that means? He's like, yeah, I know what a bluff move is. I was like, well, this meeting is going to be a bluff move. But if you bluff this guy, he's gonna probably give you what you want. Go in there and tell him, hey, I want this, I want that, and if you don't give me this, you know, he's gonna give you the middle finger, and he's not gonna give you, because you're just telling him what you want. Yeah, it's good to have an idea what you want, but that guy doesn't care what he wants to get what he wants, but he also doesn't want to get fired from his job, so he can't be too, you know, off the ball with you. So there's like this balance, you know, and going into this negotiation. Oh, another book. This book, this is the most important book right now that I would say that for me is out there, that is totally life changing. And I come from a sales background. Okay, Sebastian. So, you know, my dad was in sales. My grandfather was a legendary sales guy. You know, sales was what I was going to do when I was in college. I knew that from, you know, as a little kid. I was going to be in baseball, professional baseball. But after that, I was like, I knew I'm going to be in sales. So in sales, and life is sales. I'm not talking about everybody just sales, but life is sales. You're working in sales. And my entire sales process has been completely changed by this book. And everything I thought I knew was different now. Everything I thought I believed, that how you present a deal and you talk about a product, you get it out there to somebody, has changed now because of this book. And it's Chris Voss. He was the FBI negotiator, top FBI negotiator. He wrote the training on the FBI and at Quantico on how to operate. And FBI negotiating is like high stakes negotiating, high stakes sales, where a terrorist has a gun to a lady's head and says, I'm going to blow this lady's head off if you don't give me what I want. Now you got to negotiate with that terrorist. That's pretty high stakes. And the lady's mom's here screaming and she's crying, she's panicking. Now he has to stay calm and negotiate. How does he do it? Does he go into the meeting and say, hey, Mr. Terrorist, I want you to release that lady? That's not what he says. I want you to release that lady now. No, it's a completely different way of thinking. It's a completely different way of negotiating. It's about labels and mirrors. So he labels things and he mirrors the conversations. He tells a story. It's actually called Never Split the Difference. Never Split the Difference is the book.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say that would be one of my top.
That's really good. And the master key system, right?
Master Key System is the foundation of all personal growth and development. But that's the book that Napoleon Hill wrote about it as well. That's so old. It's from 1919. So, that's a special book. But that's not a book. That's a process. That's a life course. So I wouldn't just say I'm going to read it. I would, if somebody were to do that, they would, have to dedicate time to practice it, because it is a process where you really have a goal and a purpose to do something. You utilize the Master Key System, it will happen. It's like the foundation, But I would say it's easier to get into the law of success, okay? And it's easier to apply the law of success principles than the Master Key, because I feel like it's so intense.
Okay.
It's like a level 10. If somebody gets the Master Key System, they're like, whoa, this is too much,
What if you really want to go?
If you're just so determined, you don't care, you'll do whatever it takes, then you're going to do the Master Key System.
Okay.
It really depends on the person and where they're at, I mean, I would recommend the Master Key System to somebody who's that determined. If you want to become an actor, that's all you've decided, you're going to be an actor, going to be in Hollywood, whatever you're going to do, you get in the Master Key System and you utilize that, you will get there faster than you will imagine. It's changing who you are. It does. It changes who you are, though. And that's the hard part. Do you really want to change who you are to become that person? Maybe you do. If you made up if you make up your mind, you are going to do it no matter what, it will fall in line with you, in harmony.
Yeah. You know what I found? I found that after watching your video, and because sometimes in my career as an actor, I'm really needy of work. I'm like, I want to work so badly and work and get a role in this project, whatever it might be. And after watching your video of you don't need anything, you're whole and complete by yourself. As soon as I made my mind up and I was feeling whole and complete, I started attracting work. And as soon as I go back to it really is that way. Like the universe just gives you work instantly. It's crazy.
That is from the Master Key System. That what you just said, that was fun. I'm whole and complete is two of the words that are used in the Master Key System. So that's that thinking, where you're going into a such situation not needing anything, you're gonna provide value. And it's like my buddy going into this negotiation, so he was in the mindset of like, he really needed this deal. He really wanted this deal. And he calls me and tells me all the things he wants. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're telling me this, because if you go into this meeting, you're going to get the door slammed, you're going to get a really bad deal, and he goes in there. I mean, he's like, oh, he listens so well. He's so coachable that he's like easy to work with. By doing that, he goes into the meeting and just slams it. They give him exactly something more than what he was expecting. And he didn't have to ask. Imagine going into a meeting that with these, like you're going to go apply for this acting job, and you know what you want in your mind, but you don't have to ask for it, and you get
Exactly.
it, and you actually get maybe something better.
Exactly.
Out of the meeting, you're like, what was that? Some Jedi mind trick? Oh, what just happened? And this is the type of stuff that you can do. But it takes like, kind of getting yourself in that person's situation. What's really motivating them? What do they really want? Think about it. You're going to go into a meeting with with a place who's going to hire actors. They want something. How are you going to give them what they want without telling? In order to get something, you got to give the person an adequate motive. In order to find out what their motive, they're not going to tell you what it is. Oftentimes. So finding the motive is key. And that's where that new book I just mentioned called the Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss comes from.
Okay.
Identifying this type of information that people hold dear to their chest that you're going into maybe a meet with or negotiate with, and what it's going to take to get that position. Probably not by asking, because by asking is not going to
happens rarely.
Yeah, it could. I mean, forcing a way through life does work. It does work. But as you found with the situation where you're starving yourself and that trying to beat that challenge, you forced your way into it and you ended up in a worse situation.
Yeah. Like Kino Body says, you gotta make it effortless in a sort of way. You gotta put effort, but you can't if there's stakes in your wheels, you can't spin them.
So Sebastian, anything else you want to cover?
Sometimes I find you really funny in your videos, you have a nice attitude. It's good to inspire people with that kind of attitude now, sense of freedom and vitality. Have you ever thought of writing a book?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a writer, a prolific writer. So I want to be. I mean, I write I want to do my own horn, but I do a lot of writing and the complex writing. But I want to channel that into a book. What would you recommend? What would you like to hear?
Seems like you really like to write and speak. That's really cool. I admire that. Honestly, what would be cool for me, if, for example, I'm someone that has been looking up to you, has been watching your videos, you could write a sort of book that, not a biography, but just starting by where you came from, what led you to where you are now, what led you to your definition of success and freedom, and all of the aspects of yourself that you have succeeded in. I find them very interesting. Your mindset, mastering your mindset, mastering your fitness, mastering yourself, and becoming successful in your endeavors and your point of view, and just writing as yourself. Yep.
So telling a story about telling a story about how things started, how they got to where it is now. And
have you read Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey?
No.
I'll
write that one down. That's a good one.
It's a really good book. It's actually a really good book.
Ready? Okay.
The way he writes, not a lot of people write like him.
I'll read that. Thank you. Sebastian, I don't mind doing this again sometime if you're available. I just have to, you gotta forgive me, but I gotta wrap up.
No problem, man. I understand. I don't mind as well. I'm looking to do this sometime again, discuss various topics. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it. Let's do it again in a few weeks. Okay. Seriously.
Let's do it.
We'll come back around and do it again.
See you, man. Have a good
one.
Right.
Likewise. Thank you. Much love.
Bye. See you.